What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece, Season 22, Episodes 3 through 5. So in these episodes, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Nami, they realize they're in like basically this block kingdom that's controlled by a guy called the Sun God, or at least he calls himself the Sun God. So it's revealed to be part of like this diorama, whatever, and they find Chopper. They save Chopper. They deal with all these giant animals, and they escape. And they find these blueprints, and they use basically they capture a giant cat named Iscat to use as their transportation. And then they're chased by the sun god. And so basically with that, they're running from it, and the sun god's revealed to be a member of the new giant warrior pirates, so he serves under Hydrogen. And so yeah, and basically he's not happy that Hydrogen basically became a subordinate of Luffy. And so, and they were able to, basically, the Straw Hats, they're able to escape. They're able to escape the blockade and end up in this snow area. Now the other Straw Hats, so Frankie, Robin, Brooke, and Jinbei, them and the giant warrior pirates, so they were trying to find the Thousand Sunny and Luffy's group, but they couldn't. And Frankie's like, all right, we did all we could. It's called search, but he was like, look, we think they're fine. And they and, basically everyone on like they discuss so basically what the newspaper said, what Morgan's newspaper said about like the egghead incident, that the straw pirates and giant warrior pirates like attacked Egghead, basically killed Vegapunk. And so Dorian Broggy's bounties have gone up significantly. And I'm sure Luffy's has gone well, if Luffy's hasn't gone up, I'd be surprised because there is also the issue of Saturn being dead. If that's public knowledge, I am certain that the world government will tell everyone um that the Straw Hats did it. So yeah, so obviously things are about to pick up. So anyway, so Luffy's group, they get outside, and there's two giants walking towards the little castle that's in the snow area. So, and like the two giants are you have Gerd and Goldberg, and they're like annoyed, and so they're walking there. You know Strauss are trying to hide. Luffy wants to say hi because they're in Elbaf, and Sanji wants to say hi because Gerd's hot, and basically it's cold out there, so like Nami's cold, so like I guess for Nami it was a tit nipply out there. So Sanji gives her like his coat, whatever, and yeah, so basically, so they're walking around. Luffy senses something, and there's giant wolves go near, but then there's some scream, like some roar, whatever, draws them like makes them flee. He goes towards the source of the sound, and he finds Hydrogen's half brother. So Hydrogen's revealed to be the son, like the illegitimate son of the king. Now, people who've read the manga know about this. So yeah, so And the person, basically, there was an incident. Adrian's half brother was captured, tried to escape. Basically, he's considered to be the shame of Elbath, Loki. Like he's chained up, and yeah, he's big. Like he has horns in his head, and basically he and Luffy introduce each other themselves. It looks like next episode's going to deal with like their whole conversation. So yeah, and that should be interesting. But yeah, I thought these were good episodes. I liked them. I liked like finish it off the stuff with the Block Kingdom. Then we're getting into like the meat of the story with like Loki and everything. I mean, the big battle hasn't started yet. It will soon. But things are picking up. But yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. One Piece chapters 1180 through 1181. So in these chapters, Emu has arrived, at Elbaf. So you see his full appearance. And he asks him, "Who's the king of this land?" And, Dorian Broggy asks who he is. They say, he has, Elbaf has no king. And Somers is freaking out. He yells, "Great one!" And basically Emu cuts off some of four of Gert's fingers, causing like Somers to drop to the ground. And you see Zoro confronts him. And Somers gets his heart, and Zoro's knocked back, and Stanson senses that something's gonna happen to Hydrogen, so he knocks Hydrogen away right before Emu can basically kill him. So Stanson loses a foot, and yeah, Zoro like is knocked back. Hydrogen's beaten, like he basically like there's a big explosion that knocks him out, and Somers is healed. Yeah, and then yeah, and basically there's a warning, like, and you see like the buildings like are doing like some like evil laugh or whatever. And you see a warning sent to everyone in Elbaf that some being that's greater than the god knights has arrived on the Elbaf. So everyone's concerned, and yeah, Gabon senses what's going on. And then yeah, and then like yeah, basically, everyone's trying. So Loki, Ratatosker, and Luffy, they're eating in order to, replenish their energy, and like, basically, no one knows what's going on. Like they're like, and then Killingham's excited. He yells, "Great one!" And Emu uses Omen on Killingham, which helps heal him. And then Sanji attacks Emu, but he's like, and Emu blocks Sanji's kick with his leg, and then kicks Sanji, and and then Loki arrives asking what Emu wants to Elbaf. Emu says, he searched for the killer of his servant Harald, who was killed here 14 years before. And Loki says, Harald wasn't a servant, he was his father, the the king of Elbaf. And Loki says he's the one that Emu is looking for. And then yeah, so then Emu prepares to fight Loki, and then yeah, and Loki says that you know, Harald died at age 144, but giants generally lived to around 300. So basically, it wasn't his time yet to die. So Loki says he deduces that Emu's the one who basically made things where Loki had to kill his own father. And Emu says that he's himself is the one who had to deal with the greatest setback. And then Loki asks like what Emu did to Harold, and he swings Ragnar at Emu, but Emu blocks it, and then Emu turns giant, so he's able to like get to his size as like you could say is comparable to Loki. And Emu does a blade of judgment nemesis attack. And then Emu says some speech, he says it's the nature of man to crave strength. However, when power is so lusted after is too easily gained, corruption, choosing certitude out of self interest, covenants, and the envy that seeks to achieve one's goals, the power of omen, these form the trinity of what we call domination. And he asks if he should give Loki the power of God to basically step beyond everyone else. And Loki says he didn't ask. I mean, and Loki says, so Eva's power is the power of God's domination. And he says, he think he might actually make a deal with a deal with the devil. And Emu says, God, devil, what's the difference? And Loki says, he doesn't care that no one lords over him. And Emu says that domination is the only true bliss in the world. And he thinks to himself, he's like, isn't that right? And he remembers, I guess, some time with Joy Boy. Apparently, obviously he knew Joy Boy, and then he yells, "Isn't that right, Joy Boy?" So Luffy's still eating. He still has to replenish his injury, and Loki like notices like Emu like think about something else. He asks if Emu's distracted. He says that Emu doesn't respect him enough then, and he does an attack and knocks Emu back. And he turns to a dragon, uses the Thorheim attack on him, and Emu smiles, saying that, it says that, so thou art back. So I guess that's referring to Nidhogger. And you see, like, when Loki transforms, you see Emu, like, his face is, he almost, like, appears, like, concerned. And so, yeah, now, we assume when he says, so thou art back, we assume that means Nidhogger. It could also be the Joy Boy, because he could sense, maybe he senses Luffy arriving. Yeah, who knows? We'll figure out next chapter. But yeah, I thought these were really good chapters. Emu definitely made an impression these chapters. Like freaking insane. So yeah, I thought these were really good chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Kagurabachi chapters 119 through 120. So in these chapters, so yeah, the Hiroshima talks are still going on, very poorly. So yeah, little overview, like the Mikaboshi, they once ruled Japan. The Soga clan basically led a revolt against them, and so yeah, and then you know basically yeah, so yeah, so then and basically also one of the guys looks like is like so basically, there was like some the stone that they the Danseki, I guess, helped keep them hidden from rest from Japan. And so this all got asked, you know, they ask if one was the Soga. The answer is yes. So he says, one of the ones one who was just killed was his son Aryu Mikaboshi, the crown prince of the Mikaboshi, and she like Shiva whatever says, there's no need for more death. Let's just let's just you know, and then but the guy says he wants to bear witness, and so obviously a fight's through. So the Mikabushi basically seems to have no intention of obviously negotiating. So yeah, and then and yeah, Hiroto Soga is there fighting. Basically, he's the only person alive who can use Kurotsuchi sorcery. So he's like very powerful. Yeah, so it's definitely interesting what's going on. So yeah. So yeah, so you see like all that. So the big fight is basically kicking off. So us and the Mikabushi are basically really doing it. So you have you know so basically the Soga and Shiba's group fighting like they're fighting the Mikaboshi like it's yeah, it's freaking chaotic. Like you see the fight, it's freaking insane. Yeah, so and then yeah, so so basically, so guys you're trying to do so, but obviously things aren't necessarily going well. So yeah. So basically, yeah, negotiations are freaking over. Like that's I think we could say that's done deal. But man, dude, holy frick. Like, dude, like Mashiro getting that whole hole in his chest, like, dude, that is freaking insane. Like, he might not make it. And yeah, so yeah, I thought this was thought these were good chapters. Like how they're developing these new antagonists, the Mikaboshi. I'm like obviously there continue to be a role in this flashback arc. But yeah, I thought it was a you know these are good chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi chapters 89 through 90. So in these chapters, Kiyoshi tells Bobo to get up and basically fight. And Kiyoshi's just beating the crap out of Bobo. And you see like how he's able to use his attacks to like overpower him. And even Bobo like tries to triple his own power. He's still Kiyoshi's still able to basically hit him really hard. And yeah. But even though when Bubble gets triple his power, he's able to do some damage. But Kyoshi's still able to fight. So like he's basically at full power where he can where he can like basically win. So big fight. When they're on, so they both punch each other in the face, and they Kyoshi starts shooting some exorcism arrow whatever at him, and you see the fight, and then Kyoshi does a Omega Stella on Bobo, and so that leads to chapter 90, and then you see basically Kyoshi won. and Bubba's trying to get up, but Kiyoshi tells him to basically give up. And you see a flashback to his like Bubba's past, where you see some of Helzebub, like when he was married to like his wife, like Helzemama, and so and basically how Bub was very basically rough, like at first, like and how he raised his kids and trained them, but he got soft. Basically, like his so Helzebub's wife is able to share demonic power to other demons, and that's like it's like helps as like a healing thing. And a lot of demons wanted it, and that was his goal at first. But then he fell in love with her and basically ended up marrying her, even though she was like a low level demon. And then yeah, so and then yeah, and like and yeah, so then yeah, and, basically, Hellzamal wanted humans and demons to become friends. You know, and obviously that's a hard goal to have. And Hellzamal tells Bubba that she wants him to become a kind demon lord. And Bubba asks, wait, so like Roth? And Hellzamal says, I can't really recommend that. So, and then like basically, Hellzamal dies. Basically, she was so basically, Hellzabub and Hellzabama were in a battle in the demon realm, and Hellzabama shared too much of her power with other demons. That was the official story. But basically, the fight was actually against Exorcist. Basically, Hellzabama tried to share like her power with the Exorcist or to heal him, and basically another Exorcist assumed the God person was being attacked and killed Hellzabama. And like Bobo basically wanted to wipe out everyone who's weak where and yeah. And then Shishio says if he does anything if he goes any further he'll die and then like Bobo says yeah if he'd rather die than be weak so he calls in the rest of his depths and basically yeah so and he like basically he's in like a more powerful form, so it was like the final stage of fight's about to happen between him and Kiyoshi. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think it's gonna be very long. Kiyoshi's probably about to wipe the floor with him. But yeah, I thought these were good chapters. Liked the Bobo backstory. Give some explanation of how Hellzabub was able to become friends with with humans. We don't see actually when he and Shishio met, but we see what kind of led up to it. And then basically now you have the fight between Kyoshi and Bobo has been awesome. Like these were good visuals. So yeah, I thought these were good chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Ichi the Witch, chapters 79 through 80. So in these chapters, so Ichi introduces Minakata to to his friends, and so yeah, so he explains to Minakata taught him how to survive the wilderness. Basically, they hadn't seen each other in 10 years, and so yeah, so, and then you have, Descaris and Miyakata compete over who was more of a mentor to him, and it's kind of funny. And so, yeah. And then, basically, so, And then Chun, who is I guess the boss of the the group there, he shows Ichi a picture and asked if he had seen the woman, and basically she's like an evil witch, like so like basically like real like they want to know if there's like a connection with the Matla Witch Association because basically she's working with like World Hater and basically there's a suspicion that there's a traitor within the Matla Witch Association that's helping that's helping the World Hater and then so basically obviously so there's concerns so obviously the witches don't want any member's privacy basically threatened. And then, yeah. And basically, like, so, her name is Fujimine, the Vanquisher Witch. Basically, she kills, like, a lot of people. And so, yeah. And then, basically, yeah, she asked, World Hero, who does he want her to kill first? And then, basically, basically she, ends up being Itchy, so she decides to target Itchy. So obviously that's setting up the next arc with her, I guess, as the villain. So with that, base what happened is there was a toxic terror magic that was visiting the Matnal Witch Association. And basically that magic did not hate humans. It was trying to figure out how to mitigate the danger itself because it naturally released poisons that would endanger people. So basically, it wanted the Witch Association to keep it contained, to keep the poison away from people. Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, then so basically, so a special space was made for them. A lot of the witches made friends with that magic, and then yeah, then if but then like years later, Fujimine revolted and killed 57 members, 3 magic keepers, and acquired the Toxitera magic and escaped. And she's like been doing a bunch of crimes, like killing a bunch of people. And yeah, so basically Chun says, that Fujimine will get like, she'll be executed for her crimes. And that basically anyone else like her is the goal of the magic keepers. And basically they suspect that Fujimine has accomplices. And yeah, so basically, basically they're gonna try to hang around in the Tali in order to, I guess, figure some things out. Figure out like who's like the mole. Yeah. So then yeah. So then the witches are they're talking about like so the group like so the magic keepers talk about and then basically wondering if there is a traitor and then yeah so basically the no- like the Chun says they don't know the full extent of Fujimi's abilities, so likely there is like a mole. And the worst case scenario is that the trader is part of the top rank, so like it's a full fledged witch. So yeah, And apparently that's also the most likely scenario because the human hair magic that had infiltrated the organization HQ was found on floors only witches can get to. And then that would only limit the suspects to those with that kind of access. And basically, the with that evidence, it's believed that the traitor is one of the full-fledged witches. And yeah, and then Chun says they'll find a traitor who's working with Fujimine. And then someone is at like a mirror, like trying to get through. This person's asking where where she could find Ichi the witch. And then person just like use like a machine gun to go through this like the portal whatever. And then yeah, so Fujimine arrives and the traitors are revealed to be the Bullet Witch, Amadoro Ribbon Candy. So yeah, so that's definitely interesting. So new character, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I thought these were good chapters. I liked how they're building up this new villain with Fujimine, and then set up the next arc, and then Amadoro's looks like could be a cool villain. But yeah, I thought these were good chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Spy Family, chapter 133. So in this chapter, so Yor's coworkers, basically, so that they're all concerned, they basically discuss what happened at the TV station, and so so basically the minister, I guess the minister like in charge of all that is being replaced, and then yeah, so basically, someone asks, "Hey, are you gonna pursue acting?" She's like, "No." And someone asks how I guess Kevin was like, guess one of the main actors. She's like, "Which one was that?" And it's dude, it is so freaking fun. And then like man, it's so funny. You have like I guess when you have Hemlock like reacting, thinking that was a that basically that she shouldn't be that Yor shouldn't be on television, whatever. And basically the director saying, hey, she drew towards attention, but she had not much choice. And apparently the shopkeeper kind of enjoyed it, so he wasn't concerned. And apparently he considered it a good opportunity to purge the minister. Probably their way of saying kill him. And then and yeah, so and then what's funny is you have like basically Hemlock saying like cavorting for loyalty to as an act of loyalty to the nation. Then Millie's like, "Hey, what are you talking about cavorting?" She's like, Where are we going?" Hemlock's like, "Wherever you want." And then like and Hemlock says he wishes to cavort to where traitors can be found. She's like, Millie's like, "What?" And then honestly, back at Ian's academy, the school, everyone's talking about, and Anya mentions that Yor was doing it, and it was like, wait, so your mommy was an actress? Like, and Anya's trying to be a little smug about it, and Becky's idea is she wants to try find talent scouts in order to like get into acting. So yeah, she tries to like basically dress to like she tries to wear a little dress in order to I guess try and impress town scouts or whatever. And you have Anya dressed up like the captain of a Thunderbolt Mark II. And then basically Anya's wearing like random costumes, so Becky's two dresses, and basically they're not getting scouts. And it's funny, so like Anya tries to open the manhole in order to get inside one of the. It's so funny, and it's so funny, dude, like it's so so you have basically so that does not lead to a subterranean empire, Anya. Like it is so funny. So and basically one of the servers discuss, hey, maybe we discuss it with Becky's fire. He'd be able to work something out. And Becky says, that'd be cheating. She wants to earn it herself. Respectable. And yeah, so and then they change outfits. So Becky puts like this jacket. She I guess changes dressing, puts on some fluffy jacket, whatever, and a hat. And Anya basically dresses like Sailor Moon and has like a shield and mace for whatever reason. And then and Anya says she's gonna be a pretty girl. She's to be scouted by Master Tuxedo Mask, and it's meant to be a reference to both Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball. And Anya sees this old guy says, "Hey, it's Master Tuxedo," basically because Master Tuxedo looks like Master Roshi, and Becky's like, "That's just some old guy." And it's funny you have Becky's still not able to do it, and she's very frustrated. And then one of the servants suggested maybe more mysterious vibe could help. So Becky I guess changes her clothes or and hair and wears like a mask, like basic like a medical mask. And Anya then dresses up almost like a female Edward Scissorhands or whatever. And then yeah, so then that doesn't work. Becky decides to dress up like a basically look like a rapper, look like sport. Having basketball shirt, like basketball jersey on, holding basketball, wear a hat. Tying hairs up in braids, or wearing like a chain wear. And then Anya basically has like a boxing headgear on, the gloves, the sumo like Bob Weber and the I guess some karate like basically gear whatever. It's so funny. And then basically Becky's like, okay, maybe I just not copy an actress. And Anya says she says she doesn't want to be on TV. She wants to join Evil Syndicate and rule the world. And everyone's just taking it in stride. And then yeah, so so basic idea is to do like a singing thing. So everyone wears masks. Like Anya and the three servants dress up. Honestly, look like some weird ninja demonic thing. And Becky wears like a mask that looks like makes her look like one of the pilgrims, or whatever. And so basically just some singing, and then some cops came over, thinking basically that they're all part of like a terrorist group, so they all have to run away. And then Martha tells Becky's fire that she's like, please accept my apologies, Mr. Blackwell. They only caused Blackwell Industries to be put out of business today. And Mr. Blackwell's like, what? And Becky then asked for her daddy to throw a big party to get a bunch of entertainment industry people to show up. And Anya then shows her all the stuff she got from Becky in her servants with her. And Lloyd seems to be a little more concerned. He's like what? Did you know? And then And Yor says, how nice. Because, she's in the weapon, so she probably respect the mace. Bond's just waiting for food. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. It's freaking funny. Like, Becky's reaction is just so funny. Like, it'll be interesting to see this animated if the show gets to this point. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Under Doctor, chapters 13 through 14. So in these chapters, so Haiji's, fighting Maxwell. He says he wants to help Maxwell, and then basically Haiji just beats the crap out of Maxwell. Like they're fighting, and so yeah, Haiji's able to dodge Maxwell's attacks. You know, basically, so yeah, like yeah, so he's able to so Heidi's able to disturb like Maxwell's equilibrium, and yeah, so and Heidi's able to attack Maxwell, but then Maxwell starts falling out of the yeah, like you have so Maxwell falls down, and then yeah, then but he gets back up, and he's getting up, and he falls over. He thinks about his friends, he thinks maybe it was fun being with them, so Haiji grabs him, tries to pull him up, and then he throws him up, and then he falls, and then Haiji thinks about I guess a friend of his who encouraged him like when he was trying to be a doctor, and then yeah, so then Maxwell tries to head jump down in order to grab Haiji so that basically in order to save him, and yeah, so I asked Maxwell why he tried to save him, and Maxwell basically says, that he should be the one to ask for that, since he had just tried to kill Haiji. And then yeah, so Maxwell says he saved Haiji because he didn't felt right of him dying like that. So yeah, so basically, yeah, so and yeah, so Haiji says, he had kind of similar background to Maxwell, where he would do some power he was born with, and like he was afraid of not being able to justify his own existence. And then yeah, basically, so that there's probably some way like for Maxwell to be able to justify his own existence. And you see some of Maxwell's backstory, like for from when he was younger, and like yeah, so yeah. Then after that, Maxwell leaves, and then he reunites with he calls his friends to basically seems like he'll be on better terms with him. And so yeah. So I thought these were good chapters, good way to end the fight between Haiji and Maxwell. We'll see if Haiji becomes a recurring character. Like who knows how much is left of this series. But yeah, like I like the combatness, the visuals, all that. So yeah, I thought these were good chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Kanto's Magic, chapters 12 through 13. So in these chapters, so Kanto fights the guy, like that guy with the skull mask wear. And so, but then a GM, like he's able, you know, Kanto tries to get ready to do one final attack, but he's like he basically beats, so he can't really do much. But Jian arrives and like just knocks that dude out. And so then all the captains arrive to help clear up the situation. And then yeah, so basically then yeah, so and the guy tries to do an attack, but Jian's able to deal with it. So yeah, but then the guy leaves. He and his his friends allies are able to escape. And he tells Kanto someday like they'll sell things. And Kanto says he'll stop him with his magic as many times as it takes. He passes out. So then the next chapter, Kanto wakes up, and so he's been basically basically asleep for 3 days. So you know, Lena was like helping nurse him back to health, and and then and basically she knew that something that might happen since she thinks she may have been the one that pushed him to be in the adventure, and basically like she doesn't want to be apart from Kyoto, and Lena like and Kyoto apologized for worrying Lena a lot, and Lena hugs Kyoto, and then this other nurse comes in saying and that this is a hospital. If they want to do that, they should that she could give them a key to lock the door, and basically making joke that is like references like, hey, if they're trying to get it on, at least lock the door, which that's not what's going on. And Jian walks in, and basically, Kanto asks how's the town, and Jian says, hey, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, everything's fine. Basically, the kingdom sent like a team to help reconstruct the town, and yeah, so basically, this nurse worker gets on top of Kanto in a very compromising way in order to like use some tentacles, I guess, in order to heal him. Yeah, I'm not kidding. So Korea is her name, and basically, yeah. So yeah. So basically, they're able to do like like her family. Basically, they're able to do advanced healing. So that's why I guess that's why the family does hospitals, whatever. So but Korea says, if Kyoto goes overboard with say with city magic again, or to power up his body, that at some point he'll wreck his mana circuits and won't be able to use magic again. And then, yeah, so obviously it looks like that's going to be a concern moving forward. So, yeah. And, Korea asks if Jian's hurt, and Jian says, he's fine, and Korea, like, is blushing, saying, you could at least break a bone for me. Like, you can tell what she wants. And, apparently Zio was in the bed next to him, next to Kanto. And so, and Line says hi to Zio, and Zio blushes, says sup, and Zio yells at Q, say, "How can you be so chill with the?" Basically, he calls Line cute and says, like, how can you be? He's like, how can you be that chill, so chill with the girl like our age, like that showing up. And basically got really awkward for all three of them, and that was funny. And yeah, basically, yeah, so it looks like everyone's about mostly recovered. So yeah, and then what he has to do, and Kanto says what he's got to do is be able to master his own, like boosting his own body, and Korea says that he's not built to be a fighter, so he can't really do combat, and yeah. So Gian says so King needs to learn is the precise control of his mana and physical reinforcement. And he says he has an idea that he'll set up to train with the Bajo clan, and then basically there's some advanced, very powerful. They're like the fiercest warrior clan that Gian knows of, and so basically they'll basically I guess force the kind of mana control in Kanto. So that could be an interesting arc. So yeah, I thought that these were good chapters. Like liked how like they're so they finished off the whole attack thing. Then it looks like the next this arc is going on. Who knows how long this series will go on? Like, looks like it's gonna be a train arc, which makes sense. That was gonna be a thing coming up. There was gonna be a whole train section. Makes sense. But yeah, I thought these were good chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Alien Headbutt chapters 11 through 12. So in these chapters, so those guys arrived, and one of them asked if Shirokiba like killed the guy, like the bird guy, and then the guy, I guess who's like a leader or whatever, introduces himself as Volgano, and he offers Shirokiba a cigarette. So basically, Shirokiba discusses things with those aliens, and yeah, so basically what's going on is Shirokiba asks why they came to the island, and so basically the aliens came with the capsules. Yeah, so basically they're siphoning energy, and like all the energy for is being siphoned for one kid. And basically, Fulgado says no ordinary human could defeat Zoldra. So that means that Shirokiba would practice like martial arts or whatever. Shirokiba says, he's a pro wrestler. So, and like, basically, yeah, so, so it's like the whole, like he's discussing, says, Volcano says, he's actually a fan of Earth culture, and, yeah, and he says he can't wait to make Earth, like, belong to them, and so, and, yeah, so then he attacks, Shirokiba, and then, yeah, so, and then there's like a whole deal where like Tatsu Taguar is like infected or with the same parasite inside of Shirokiba, and yeah. So so you see the fight. Shirokiba fights the spiky guy, and able to like you know, but he's like spiked and he like is forced back, and like so. Honestly, Shirokiba's really hurt. And, Volgaram says to not to kill Shiroki because he could be a valuable candidate, and so they need to study him. But yeah, so and he's starting to kill like Shirokiba's friends and family unless like he surrenders. So Shirokiba surrenders, and basically Volgaram's orders they spare the you know, spare everyone else, and then they end up at the soldier factory, Lukuro Syndra underground soldier soldier factory. So yeah, so after that, he meets this lady named Saito, who's I guess is a human who's like working there. And, the guy Neil's introduced himself as Needle Boy, and so yeah, so basically the Indians explain that the parasite is called a gilbil, and yeah, so basically even like the aliens are very careful about them because like how they basically kind of the purpose of them was to create soldiers to conquer Earth. Basically, yeah. So I thought this was a like it was interesting to see like how like the whole development like of this area. So you see all these like like humans stored inside these little pods, or whatever. Like so, then after 2 weeks, Shiroki was there for 2 weeks, and then he's led by Osayo to somewhere where like Shiroki was attacked by like it looks like it looks like a lamb, like where basically someone's trying to attack him like a lamb like would. And due to similar sensation ones, Sugar deduces that it's his like basically it's May, who was kind of like I guess like a family pet goat, whatever. Except May's all grown her up, looks human, and yeah. So basically, this Sayo says she's been hearing a lot about Sirakiba from Mai, and then later, so the three of them planned for an escape. So Saito, May, and Shirakiba plan an escape, and yeah, we'll see that goes, like how that escape plan goes. Should be interesting. Like something's probably bound to go wrong, but yeah, I thought these were good chapters. So getting a little info on the big bads, like the aliens, you know. But yeah, so I thought these were good chapters. The visuals and the action were awesome. Looking forward to the next one. Rooster Fighter episodes 6 through 8. So in these episodes, so basically Elizabeth Pyoko learned that the dam's about to fall. They head towards it, and Morio's trying to block it. KG arrives, and basically this guy who was trying to get who was went viral taking footage of the chickens fighting demons gets footage of the demon protecting everyone trying to stop the dam, and everyone's cheering on all the humans watching cheering on the demon, cheering on Morio, and the guy falls over but is saved by KG. But the dam breaks and Morio's dragged through the floodwaters. And yeah, so and KG's able to like use his super Kako attack in order to go through the base of this pinnacle in order so that it falls the river, and then yeah, basically prevent everyone from dying in the flood. So, but Morio survived, and they all say goodbye. But then Morio is confronted by some female humanoid, whatever, that like seemingly kills him. Then after that, so later, then KG's approached by these two pigeons who want him to join them on like a basically a mixer, like a triple date with these female pigeons. Basically, it's like a wingman. But during the whole thing, KG gets irritated because the hens mock chickens, and then KG leaves, tells the hens he does not care what they think and how he acts will do it. The hens find them like attractive, And Elizabeth gets jealous and rats him out as basically a man whore, and the pigeons all fly away. So after that, Keiji, Elizabeth, and Pyoko's they share a basically a meal of fish, and yeah, and when Pyoko says she's not hungry, Keiji eats Pyoko's serving, and Pyoko develops an inferiority complex because she can't really actually fight demons, and she tries to rescue a lizard that's being bullied from other lizards, and it backfires because when the boss lizard turns into a demon and chases after her, Keiji and Elizabeth save her, and Pyoko's a little more depressed, and then they're all three of them are possessed are like approached by a rooster named Keisuke, claims to be Keiji's brother. Basically, Keisuke was hanging out with like his father, who's also Keiji's father. Basically, they have different mothers, and like Kei's father, like is basically they're all part of a family that's whose goal is to like kill the like all the kill the demons. And so, Keisuke asks Keiji to help in saving like their father. Keiji says no because he can't forgive his father for leaving like his mother like to basically deal with like childbirth on like her own. With Sarah being like like hatched or whatever. And so basically, Katie's mother died, broken heart. And yeah, so but then one of the demons there is like so the humanoids are definitely evolved to demons because one of them had basically turned like Morio to a demon, and Morio's like now attacking people. So you see a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Duck Dynasty: The Revival, Season 2, Episodes 7 through 9. So in these episodes, so one of them you have like uh like so basically so Willie Strike and Tim Tebow's celebrity golf tournament, basically like a charity thing or whatever. And like so but and he has the yips, like he gets nervous with playing golf in front of people. Especially when there's like this like celebrity golfer who like he was a fan of when he was younger. And basically, I guess Willie when he was younger had like some dreams of becoming a pro golfer, and like basically the golfer, I guess he maybe in bad mood, whatever, said you don't got it. Because I mean, look, some players, athletes have their bad days and they say stuff they regret. And the thing is, the guy like comes up like a nice dude, and was like, "What's the issue?" And when Willie talks about it later, like the guy's like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that." And basically all make peace. And so basically, you have Willie trying to like get over the yips. He even goes like therapy, whatever. Like the whole bit's funny. Like and then Jacob and Bella, they're trying to set up like a actual physical location for their clothing business. And so and then Sadie was about to go on maternity leave, like within the concept of whenever this was filmed, because obviously she's had the kids since then. Like so basically she's trying to figure out who's gonna run her podcast. So there's like a little competition. I think it was like so Corey ends up basically taking over for a little bit while you know as probably a lot of people would have expected, Corey basically takes it over or whenever she goes on maternity leave. And then after that, episode 8, you have this is like Godwin's retirement party. Well, semi-retirement. He's gonna like run a little like fishing company, or whatever. And so instead of doing a simple party, Willie's idea is to do like make a little Western film production that Godwin stars in, and like they do some things, like Godwin's past. He was a bull rider, and you have it's called the Godwin, the bad, the ugly, and it's like it's So you have so Willie and John Luke like basically debate on how to write it, how to direct it, and that whole bit is funny. And a little bit of Jace trying to put Christian and Jacob through various challenges through like to become Buckman and Duckman, and you see various challenges like trying to do some as far as like hunt whatever, handling boats whatever. And that bit's kind of fun. It is great to see Jace back, especially a lot of time you have like Jace and Willie talking, like commentating on it, like in the interview portion of it of the episodes. And so like you see their dynamic being brought back, which is great because that was always one of the best parts of the original show. And with side game more involved, it's like it feels like old Duck Dynasty. And yeah, so then episode 9, so basically Jace is trained for this for like Christian and Jacob happens to be jujitsu. How that helps with hunting, I don't know. And so then Willie, and Corey, they had visited, Rowdy, who's in college, and they're trying to get John Luke to re-enroll to finish his education because he basically only needs like 2 class credits in order to finish. Basically, after Mary Kate had graduated, John Luke didn't basically because he had like businesses to run and kids to raise, and he was like, I don't need college. And Willie's opinions like he has 2 classes. He should like he can finish with 2 classes, and basically the whole argument is say he didn't graduate, didn't finish college, so why? So I was like, why aren't you going talking about Sadie? Now I don't know how. Now I don't know how much college Sadie did. Like Willie's like, well she has her business kind of paying me rent, and, and I was like, well he's got a point. And so, Martin helps Willie, you know, with that, because they try, guide him to like, ULM, try to get him to go back to school, show him stuff. And then, Willie, there's like this, like, there's these berries that, the grandkids are supposed to help harvest. Basically, like a competition where see which family can like harvest the most berries. Then they'll get made to homemade jam. Willie's trying to pass down tradition to like the everyone, because like a lot of traditions are and you have Miss K talking about a lot of old traditions are people you don't really see homemade jam. Everyone's just going to the store to get it, and you have the grandkids. They're little, so they don't necessarily have long attention span. So once the berries are gone, once the competition, where things like Sadie's family is the family that wins. So Willie try helps make the works to make the jam, and then basically the jam, Sadie's daughter Honey helps basically deliver the honey to everyone, like the jam to everyone. And so yeah, it's really so the jujitsu part, so it's funny bit where like Christian and Jacob basically have to spar with each other, and I think Jacob wins, and they kind of roast him for it. Like it's and yeah, and basically yeah, so I thought these were good episodes. Like these were freaking great. Like it really felt like old Duck Dynasty. Like the whole dynamics between all the people, between the family members is great. So yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Roku's House of Oddities, chapters 3 and 4. So these chapters, so all the spirits are you know, um, you know, settling into the house, and so Roku visits, his grandmother, Kikuakari, who's his landlady, and basically like Johan is joining him, and that bit's funny. See him interact with a lot of the hospital guests is hilarious because like basically all the women like fawn over him, and it's like he acts like a king, and he like encourages he actually kind of acts encouraging everyone. Everyone cheers and like. So for and like the whole and like the gets the head of the hospital gets there saying as he's not gonna be observed in the hospital. It's like what the Roku's like what the heck is going on? And basically now the guy's like the can the guy's name is Professor Torika. He's like a Torika where basically he's like a candidate to be the next hospital director. And yeah. And basically like Johan just makes him bow. Dude, so funny. And yeah. And then so Roku meets meets up with his grandmother to try to deal with what happened and explain everything. And yeah, and so they try to give and the grandmother asks you know Roku if he's having fun. Roku says yes. Yeah, he says he's looking for a get double bear, and basically the grandmother says ask for Johan to look after Roku, and Johan Bao says he will. And so, she says, she was fine with telling everyone, stay or she didn't have an issue with it. And so then after that, so Roku meets up with like the occult investigation club. Basically, he says, he was, the science club was able to investigate, and yeah, and he says he'll honor the bet, and yeah, and he wants to he still wants to keep it secret that the spirits are real. So yeah, so basically then Sachiko starts talking with Roku, and obviously it's a little awkward, and Sachiko starts talking about some manga that Roku's into. They start talking a lot about manga. She gets a lot more open, and she's glad. And Roku's glad to actually talk to with a girl about manga is great. He thought it was great. Yeah, yeah. And then Sachiko sees her start remembering some things, and then when she meets up with Roku at school, and everyone sees Sachiko, and they're like, "Dude, what?" Like they ask Roku if like Sachiko's like his girlfriend, or whatever, and yeah, and then basically and she says she remembers that she's a school curse. Well, and yeah, so and then once they get back to the house, she's like back to her shy self. So yeah, so it looks like that might be a plot of okay, her being a school curse. Like we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I thought these were good chapters. Interesting how they're gradually building up these characters. These spirits, introducing more about them. So yeah, I like these chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Wistoria, Wand and Sword, season 2, episodes 2 through 4. So in these episodes, yeah, so these like Borosis are attacking the city. The mages are all overwhelmed, and like basically they have mage slayers that can nullify magic attacks. And Aaron orders all the Magia Vanders who are been drained of their power to stay at the tower, but they all want to they want to move, like they want to help, but they can't, and they're pissed they can't help. And so Will, like he saves his mother and daughter, and he fights Taxi Dinoboros, and Aaron tells Iris to get the dwarves to help the Dinoboros, and Edward orders the students to fight. And and basically, so Mars and Headless, they notice that mages have a countermeasure, that they have a weapon called Devander to that could deal with the Mage Slayer. That was a monster from Forest Ford that, uh, and basically, yeah. So monster from the Forest Ford that killed very multiple Magi Vanders in the past. Now Will fights a Devander, so like now like yeah, so the basically whichever mages attack the village, they have a Devander. So the Devander attacks, it defeats Will, like, and the dwarves try to fight it, but it absorbs the traces defeat of monsters, and so Rossi tries to powers Will's sword as magic, and Devander slices off Rossi's arm before he could do so, before he can like power Will's sword, and Rossi like tells Kiki to deliver a message to Colette, and basically Rossi sacrificed himself to protect Will from the attack. Now, so Rossi's dead now. Okay, there's some things with Rossi now. Rossi possibly being like a like a doll or something that's like possessed by Elfie that Elfie uses to keep an eye on Will. So in a way, Rossi's alive because Elfie's possibly the one controlling Rossi, but basically the whole doll lore is destroyed. The body's gone. So Workner saves Will from Devander, but he like basically he like is a like he like gives a big hole put in his chest, so he's like weakened. And now Zio Zorzia's Rainbow, the Thunder faction Moggy, he tries to leave. Like he really wants to help. Like he and Elfie want to help. Like they threaten Aaron to like let the but like they're basically told no. So and Mars attacks Workner and Will, and that's how Workner gets injured badly. Kiki sends Colette and Sion to protect the tower. Claire Sarah fights a Devander, and Edward's wounded, saving the dwarf in order to motivate the dwarves to fight. Because he basically tells them to go on a suicide mission, that he'll go with them. Now Will, and yeah, so Will sad because he believes Workner might be dead, having saved him. Like he lost Rossi, now Workner, who was like the teacher that really helped. And Workner tells Will he can use magic, but like just one spell. Now Finn arrives, tells Will that Workner was alive, he'll be fine, and that his spell is his courage, and he will returns Will sword with the limiter remove, and he removes this limiter by his blood. And so Will's will use the sword to fullest, and like his hair turns white, and he starts going really fast around the city, killing all the Dialboros and saves Colin Sion from the Devander. So then you have a flashback. So some point after Will was born, Mage Queen Mercedes made a pact with Finn, basically telling him to make Will into a swordsman that capable of using the fifth element to save the world from a celestial host, while Mercedes develops many wands. So Will is part of a special plan to deal with whatever the whole Magivan are protecting the world from. So in the present, Will, is fighting the Devander. Basically, everyone, no one else was able to. Will's the only one now able to like stand chance against. So everyone starts cheering them on, and like so, Will's sword breaks because the like then Elfie walks to like the balcony. She says she's not leaving, but she like makes an ice sword, and she says, "Oh, my hand slipped," and it falls basically, and Will like is able to absorb the spell into like that the ice magic into a sword, creating Albus Whis, and so he's able to defeat the Devander. Since the Mage Slayer cannot, it can't like protect against the fifth element that Whis consists of. So Headless summons more Dino Boros, but Will uses Fruzel Cardinia to defeat them all, like simultaneously, and Will kills the Devander and ends the battle. And Finn says that after 500 years, he's finally joined Wandan's sword. And he says that Wistoria, the tale of joining the Wand sword is just beginning. So seems like Will was part of a bigger plan. Like whatever's going on, Will is part of a bigger plan regarding the celestial hosts. Like because obviously those things I think are like the main antagonists. So and the first Manga Vanner beat them, so it seems like something's going on. Because like they had defeated the realms of the dwarves and the elves, and that there's a prophecy that they'll break through and attack like the world because there's like a false sky, and then yeah, so like there's something go like basically there's something going on with that. So and yeah, and so then we'll see like what all happens like basically see like what is the deal with Mars and Headless, what is their role, you know basically, so we'll see what happens. Now as far as the episodes, so episode 2, like I would like wasn't the biggest fan of episode 2. It was mid. Like it was definitely improvement over like the first episode. Like cuz I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of the whole Will basically trying to become Magavan just cuz he's trying to get with Elfie. Like I'm not a big fan of that like motivation. I prefer it being he wants to prove that a guy without magic can basically succeed in the world of magic. Like, Mash Burn Dead, Martial Magic and Muscles, and Astra, and Black Clover, which of course the manga had just ended. The anime's coming back later this year. Like those are better motivations. Like those are and Deku trying to be a hero despite not having the quirk. Of course, yes, he was granted one, and now with his armor, he can be a superhero with the quirk. Like those are just better motivations. Like basically, trying to do it. Like his motivation is show hard work can help, and you have Rock Lee and Naruto, a big inspiration for a lot of that stuff. You know, Rock Lee couldn't use the only thing he could use was taijutsu. He couldn't do genjutsu or like senjutsu, whatever. He could only use taijutsu. Anyone proved that a guy who can only use taijutsu could still be a good ninja, and he was able to. You know, big inspiration, and that was a big inspiration for like all these non-powered people in a super-powered world. Like that, it was a big, and of course, Rock was a big inspiration for a lot of those characters. And Will's motivation is like is trying to get with the girl. I'm like, that doesn't work as like it's not as much of a motivation to work for like a hero. Like it's not like let's say with Thanos in Marvel Comics where he killed basically a bunch of people because he was trying to screw Mistress at death. Yes, that in the comics that is what he the reason he killed a bunch of those people is to get with Mistress Death. He's a villain, so that's whatever. Like you know, you don't necessarily care that like for a villain having noble motivations. Now this, like, but now you had like in episode, like in episode 4, season 2, where Will said he did want people to acknowledge him. I was like, yes, there we go. That's a motivation I like. Like episodes 3 and 4 were freaking awesome. Those were great. The two best episodes of the series so far. Like it's like him just game power, and just wrecking. Like it is about like so it seems like, and hopefully after this, like it focuses on like him developing Whis, like learn more about the fifth element, like what it is, like Whis and all that, like how his powers are, like what the person of Magia Vander are, like basically like so like yeah, and and so and yeah, basically it's like it's a whole question of what this fifth element is. Like that's what you focus on. Focus on the fifth element. And so you know, ba- basically, yeah. So and so like we need to so that's what I hope. Is like now obviously so the baby now is the baby Will? I don't know. Because a lot of it was this like when this flashback take place, was it 500 years before? Those 500 years didn't, yeah, it could just be Will's ancestor. May not necessarily be Will himself. But if it's Will, it means like either that Queen Maid was very freaking old, or like something happened. Like who knows? And yeah, so and and then yeah, so basically, so there's some questions about that. I don't know. Not gonna get into that, but yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I thought this was these like two was not a big fan of, but episodes 3 and 4 were freaking awesome. Like they make me look forward to the rest of this season because I'm like, let's go, let's develop this fifth element, let's develop like Whis and all that. That is what I was hoping for after season 1. That they're gonna focus on Whis, focus on like because I haven't read this far into the manga, so there's a lot I haven't read. But yeah, like I want like there's a show that has potential to be good, and hopefully now after these last two episodes, this is when it's actually finally getting good. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to the next episode. Class 2B Hero Destroyerz chapters 1 and 2. So in these chapters, so there's this demon lord who, is about to get defeated by the hero, so he sends like a demon, like basically the new demon, like the demon king was named like Valeris. Basically, he was defeated by the hero, and so he made a clone, Valeris the Third, the heir, and basically, when it was time for Valeris the Third to emerge, he found this tunnel, and he came up in a toilet in the school, so he ended up in another world. And the toilet was in Shinkai Academy, and so basically, Valeris is now a student. There's a new kid comes in named Akira Kumon, and yeah, so and basically Kumon's able to see Valeris's like powers or whatever. He's like the only one able to see, and like Valeris is interested in Kumon because he's able to perceive his true form. So, and he tries to he kind of wants Kumon to like join him, whatever. He tries to tell him about he's a demon king, or whatever. And yeah, so you have this whole dynamic of the little banter between them. Like Valerius is trying to sell him on his powers, but Kumon's just ignoring him. Like he wants to focus on school. And you have these rumors of some like and you have Valerius keep trying to show off his powers. And it's so funny. So and basically Valerius is trying to get people to trying to form a new demon army. And basically yeah, so now the rift between the worlds is closed, and apparently there's rumors of another. Valerius said there were rumors of another demon king in Orion at Shinkai Academy. Basically, he's like the world's most demonic 17-year-old. He like conquered schools throughout Japan, and yeah, and he's called Demon King Commode, and he wants to try to find the like find Commode, and like most people don't know what his real name is. So basically, it's a nickname, and it's Akira Kumon. And then yeah, and basically like their appear like Kumon is definitely very different from from the Commode image. So basically, he like apparently Kumon's trying to like not be like some old his old delinquent self, and there is like a explanation for it. Now Kumon's just trying to do schoolwork, and you have these delinquents trying to mess with him, and Kumon's just ignoring it. And yeah, and and basically so Valerius tries to like kick Kumon while he's down, but he grabs his dolly, ends up accidentally saving Kumon from the delinquents, and they end up in the bathroom. And Kumon starts having a stomach ache, and basically says basically what always happens. He has a quiet school life, but the beast inside him destroys everything. And so basically Kumon has to go to the bathroom, and he says he's gonna go to the he goes to a stall to let out hit the dark beast as his like the dark beast as he calls it. Basically, he's going to take a dump, and basically he's just taking a crap. And yeah, so and basically Kumon's trying to concentrate. He says, hey, don't piss. He's like, don't piss me off. I'm taking a crap. And so then a portal starts opening under the stall, and yeah, so basically basically crap so hard he opened the portal through into another one. Then these goblins come through, and yeah, so then Valerius recognizes him, and he says they said yeah they waited his return. Then they said they need Valerius's head on pike so he can offer him to the hero. And yeah, and then yeah, so and then basically Kumon had beaten up the goblins inside the stall. And then Kumon has gotten pissed off, so he was wanting to take it. So he starts beating up everyone for disturbing his dump. Like basically, I guess if you discern while he like goes to take a dump, I guess he'll beat up everyone. So he like wrecks the bathroom, and like dude, he like wrecks all of them, and like yeah, so basically then and like Kumon like beats all the goblins, and like yeah, so and it's so funny seeing how they all react like and Valerius is annoyed that Kumon used him as a weapon. So the rift gets closed. Yeah. And so, you know, basically then, like Valerius is trying to, talk with Kumon. So then after that, basically, so, obviously, the hero's trying to get to the portal to find, the Valerius. And yeah, so he's trying to learn more about humans, he's trying to figure out which humans to recruit. And he wants to get Kumon, so it's funny how and Kumon kind of forgot him, and yeah, so it's kind of funny their interactions, and Kumon's asked to go up the board to answer a question, but he doesn't know, and he just writes on the board. He just writes, "I don't know," and the teacher says, "You could have just said that." Yeah, so and yeah, someone was talking about how like they lost the fight, but they don't really remember anything. Then Kumon gets into the bathroom again, kicks the door in order to take a dump. And basically, because he always had, like, basically, he has to take a dump every break so that won't reach his limit. And if anyone interrupted him, that's when Commode would appear. Yeah. So, yeah. And then, then basically, Valeris talks with Kumon about it. Kumon says, it all started when he was in the fourth grade. And basically every break between classes he would be in the bathroom, and yeah, and basically there was someone, I guess, who had talked to him, installed, basically someone was out of toilet paper, someone has to spare a square, and yeah, so and Kuban never knew who it was, and yeah, so they never saw each other's faces because they were always separated by the walls. And they talked about they wanted to meet each other, like do a study session, but they never met. Yeah, so and then and basically he never saw the guy again. And so and basically there's all people and Kuan saying everyone's got poop, and well, there's nothing wrong with that. And then you see he's in like he gets his like his commode like person, and he's like really he looks like an adult as like a fourth grader at that point, and he even had like facial hair and all that. And then Yeah, like it is so funny. And like it's so like it's you see he's very obviously does not look fourth grade, but apparently he was a fourth grader. And so basically apparently there's a rift that's opening, but apparently it's every bathroom stall in the school is connected to the rift now. But yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting what happens. Like Bo has to poop in bathrooms that are connected to a rift now. So like every bathroom stall is connected. That's gonna be funny. See how he reacts to it. Like he's just to get pissed off every time something goes through. So yeah, I thought these were good chapters. Interesting premise. A guy like basically turns to like a has like an evil personality that appears whenever someone interrupts his pooping time. Like I kind of find it funny. But yeah, I thought these were good chapters. Looking forward to the next one. Well, and that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.